Welcome back. Attention tonight on the program is the permanent voter card. Well, as I told you earlier on, if a voter register has a problem, there's going to be definitely a huge problem with the election. 2015 election is in February. It's just about 4 months away. And there's been some hitches on the distribution of the permanent voter card in some of the largest locations in Nigeria, some of the largest states, Lagos, Kano, Port Harcourt. Tonight, my guests and I will be talking about these issues and what way forward. Mr. Babatunde Fashola is the governor of Lagos State. He joins us on the program now. Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for joining us on Politics Today.
Thank you for having me.
It's the third day of the distribution exercise of the permanent voter card in Lagos. What's your assessment of the process so far?
Well, perhaps some preliminaries. As I was coming here, news filtered to me that your station has won the Media Merit Award for the 9th time. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
And you need to keep up the work. But I'm sure that a couple of other media houses are working hard to knock you off your perch.
We've gone back to the drawing board to make sure that nobody gets out on this.
And I think that sets the tone for the issues at hand. You know, this is just a real logistic mess up, to put it very mildly. And all of the complaints within Lagos, at least, look, I've had 478 text messages today alone. I've done 2 state broadcasts in less than 4 days. This was an exercise that INEC told us that they were going to be ready in August. They moved it to September. Then they moved it to November. And they still didn't get it right. And I'm not the one saying so. Most of those messages are people, look, I put on some of this. It's now almost 11 a.m. and INEC people are not here at Alagomeji, Yaba. Yesterday they went around, pray this is not a disenfranchisement, no rigging before elections. INEC did not come again today, specifically Akimumi Street, throughout this exercise. What a shame. There are hundreds like that, from Agege, Mushin, and across the state. But this is the way Lagosians feel. This is the experience that our national government, through one of its agencies, has put them through, using their resources. This is the 4th time, in my experience in government, since 2002, that we have done voters registration. It has been a story of one pain after the other. But if people are feeling that this is a rigging plan, I think we need them to be careful. Is INEC nurturing this democracy, or is INEC threatening this democracy? And I will preface some of what we will say, and I will say particularly, first by sharing with you, there was a story I heard about, and I don't know if this is fact or it was a joke, about a referee in a football match who, after one of the teams had scored a goal that he allowed, started applauding them and forgot that he was the referee. And of course, eventually, they took the referee out. Fact or fiction? I think that is the message that INEC is sending, that it is a referee with an interest.
Governor Fashola, a lot of people will say that as a country, we have issues with data, with keeping data. And I remember in one of the broadcasts, and in the interaction we had with you, you said that for a country that had 2011 election, 4 years down the line, you shouldn't be doing this again. We should have done it bit and bit up to this moment.
That is the heart of the matter.
Do you think it's an INEC problem or a systemic problem?
Look, listen, if you take a job that you cannot do, resign. I don't know what else an electoral commission will be doing after one election other than to be planning for the next one. Okay? Now, let me be fair and admit that I know that election planning is a huge logistic operation, and I will come to talk about that. I know that elections do not achieve 100%, and that is why election monitors look for a minimum standard. And that standard is not what the umpire says. It is what the participants say. They are the ones who eat the pudding. And from the foundation of the election now, the participants are saying, this is already wrong. If you build an election, and just as you were saying in opening the program, if the foundation of the election, which is the voters register, is already faulty, we may be heading for trouble. Now, that said, if India, with over 1 billion people, can organize elections, and we don't hear this kind of thing every 4 years, if America, with 300 million people, can organize elections, Brazil just finished elections. I think they have about 300 and something million people too. What is wrong with 170 million people that we can't organize elections? Is the head of the organization unable or unwilling? Now, what is the real problem about data gathering? Let us go back to 2010, 2011, when the current chairman of INEC was new. He told us then that, look, he had gotten something he called AFIS. It was technology we paid for, okay? And he assured all of us that this time, this was the real deal. What kind of technology did he eventually buy? It was then I first started educating myself, what is AFIS? And my technology people told me it was an automatic fingerprint identification system, which meant that on the data card that was supposed to be issued, fingerprints, biometrics, and all of that was supposed to be on it. 4 years after, that is this card is the result of that AFIS. And if you look on the register, you will see duplications. So what did INEC buy? Did they buy a second-hand AFIS? Because we have bought AFIS for our Lagos State residence registration from Japan, National Electric Corporation, one of the best, and it's working. Because we are seeing duplications as we are collecting data on the LASRA exercise, and we are removing them.
You're not finding this kind of problem that...
no, we see people try to register. Some of them, in some instances, for example, we see that they probably didn't like their photograph, so they went somewhere else to go and register. But the AFIS picks it up at start. And what we do is that we take the latter registration and delete the first one. So this is what should have been done over 4 years, not now. Now, when INEC started this exercise, they started with 6 states, another 6 states, and one would expect that they will get better. And suddenly, and that is, I would assume they will do small things first and then you go to big things. Suddenly, you take 12 states at the same time. Halfway into it, you now say you're abandoning some states. What kind of message are you sending? And look at the states involved. The states with the largest voting populations, Lagos, Kano, first. Rivers, in the south-south, easily the largest in that region. And Ogun, densely populated, sharing borders with Lagos. So what message are you sending? That's a significant voting population out of 70 million. Because if you take Lagos, which was 6-point-something million that has reduced without answers, Kano, which was 5-point-something million that has reduced without answers, and so on, you have 11 million. About 2 or 3 million, I'm not sure now, from Ogun. And about the same number from Rivers. You're looking at 15 million voters, and you've messed up, as it were now, the process for them. Now, sorry, it's important to begin to focus on INEC as an institution that is threatening the democratic process. You see, when the current chairman of INEC resumed, let's see track record now. His first election was cancelled midway. And some of the story was that they probably forgot result sheet. Now, if we use the analogy of that referee, which referee goes to a match and does not do his checklist and forgets his whistle, his pen, and his notebook to book players, and is red and yellow card, and says the match is called? What happened? Were there logistic inefficiencies or were there human inefficiencies? So when the various states now, Kano and all of that, are suffering, the Rex are under pressure, the real question to ask is, what did headquarters give them? What tools did they have?